Hey, what's going on everybody? Boilon here, and in today's Age of Origins video, we're going to be taking a look at some of the best buildings in this game. We're going to be doing a little bit of a list here, so it's going to be a top 7. Yeah, I know it's not a top 10, but we're going to be taking a look at some of the most important things that you need to do when playing this game, and some of the best buildings that you should be upgrading. So if you're ready to go, everybody, then let's boil this down. So starting things off then, coming in at number 7, we have two buildings which are kind of a bit of the same, but they fulfill a specific role, and that's basically generating passive income. These buildings are the farm and the oil refineries, which we will dub as income generators. These buildings are important in order to generate passive income for your city to become stronger. However, it is not the highest priority as a newbie because you do get a lot of this kind of resources and stuff in the beginning and through PvP as well. To the point where the early game doesn't really get impacted as much by the farms and the oil refineries or resource generation buildings. These are not specifically the buildings that you should max out as a beginner, but I do strongly advise to upgrading at least one of these to the max so that you can manage to keep upgrading the main hall, which is going to require this and is really important for your game. And this is why the resource buildings are important and coming in at number 7. Now, next up at number 6, we have the factory. Now, granted, this position is a bit tied with the number 5 slot that we'll talk about later. I picked the factory as number 6 a bit for a simple reason, which, we'll talk about when we get there. And basically, this is because it is a very important building to make your army stronger, and it allows you to get very powerful vehicles to bring your troops into battle. They become really important and are essential in one of the most important parts of the game, especially later on when PvP becomes more important. However, as a new player, it's not a big priority since the early game vehicles are very strong, and better to use your hard-earned resources on something else, probably those buildings that we will be talking about later, especially and the ones listed at the higher ranks. Now, next on our list, coming in at number 5, is the camp. Now, this is similar to the factory that we talked about, but it's way more important because this is where you're going to recruit your troops that you'll be using with some of the vehicles from the factory. So these units are more important in order to fight off the zombie invasion or just simply taking over other cities, which we will get into in later videos. To upgrade your firepower, resource management is a core part of the game, and honestly, one of the most important parts of it, which is why you should be investing in at least one camp. The reason these buildings aren't rated higher is mainly because this building, as well as the factory, has multiples, and that means you can get away with building just one. Like this, we have one camp, but here we have another camp. Now mine are at level 12, and they're both upgraded to the top, but I am a bit more advanced in the game. But usually when you're starting out, you don't want to overinvest in these buildings to save yourself some of your resources. So I recommend just upgrading one camp to the max until you get further on in the game. And number 4 is going to be a very important building, which would be higher up on the list if we were talking about late game players, but since we are sticking to early game players, this building is not as important when you're a newbie, but still a very important building nonetheless. And why is that? Well, the embassy is crucial to having a very strong alliance participation, and one of the reasons why active alliances are so important because you support your allies and do daily quests and set defenses and improve your city's towers and even hand out gifts for your alliance mates. And basically, you can do a lot of things with your alliance mates as well in this game. So this is a really important building, but early on, it's not as important since you won't be able to make the most of it. But still, this is a very super important building to keep in mind later on, so keep an eye on it. Now, coming in at number 3, we have the dispatch center. And this could be a controversial opinion since you don't really notice this when you're playing actively, but it is based upon PvP, which is one of the core aspects of the game, and one of the most important sources of income for your city. If you think about it, this is one of those buildings that you won't be interacting with as much, but the more that you upgrade it, the more that you will notice its effects. So if you go into the details here, you will notice max rally units. Now, what is rally? Well, it is a very strong feature that will let you discover for yourselves, but let's just say that it makes your attacks a lot stronger, and therefore, for that reason, that's why this is one of the most important buildings to upgrade, and why I recommend this being one that you start working on as soon as you get the chance. And coming in at number 2, the silver medal goes to the awesome building, the Depot. Now, this building is amazing. However, it isn't number 1 on this list for a specific reason. You do notice that the effects... you don't notice the effects as much. You know, it's pretty good, especially at the starting levels, but you'll see here that the Depot level must be level 8 for a lot of the extra bonuses. So the resource sale feature is a really important sale and feature, and it's amazing. This allows you to trade your resources. If you're a little bit short of one or need a little bit more of another, then you can exchange them here at the Depot. There is one main reason why the Depot is even better than the other buildings on this list, other than the number 1, of course, and that's because the Depot has the ability to protect your resources. Now, what does protecting your resources mean? It means that when you get attacked, that you won't lose as much, which is really important when you're playing in the early game and have a lot of resources stockpiled and you don't have enough builders to upgrade everything. So if you have too many resources, this makes you a target, and people might try to steal from you. But with the Depot, you can protect a portion of this resources, and you'll be kind of safeguarded against those enemies and players who look to take your hard-earned resources. And coming in at number 1, and the big winner, is actually a tie. So we have 2 of the most important buildings in the game, which aside from the main hall and the academy, which are ones that you kind of have to build and upgrade, you know, these are obvious that you need to upgrade them in order to progress the game. We have 2 other buildings to talk about. But aside from those, the best buildings in the game are going to be the hospital and the city walls. And why is this? Well, if you look at this, these 2 buildings are the most important because the city walls represents the strongest defensive buildings in the game, and the hospital is the strongest offensive building in the game. And why is this? Because the hospital allows you to save your troops. And now this basically, you know, when your units would die, instead of dying, they would go in the hospital and recover. And this will save you a lot of time and resources so you don't have to train new troops. And this will pretty much allow you to reproduce them. As for the city walls, you know, basically upgrading them will allow you to have much stronger defensive towers and, you know, so that you can have overall just way higher defenses and allow you to recover your defensive units faster. And just really amazing, and the best buildings for defense, which is really important for this game. And, you know, that's it. That's the list of most important buildings that I have prepared for you. The most important buildings I think that you should be upgrading, and the priority build for new players as well. So I hope that some of this helped. I hope that you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. There's also going to be some additional videos coming your way, probably about once a week on Saturday, as it was released today as well. And we'll be taking a look at some more videos and content such as beginner guide stuff and more PvP related content here on Age of Origins. So until next time, I'll see you there. And before you guys go, don't forget to download Age of Origins using the link in the description down below, or check the pinned comments. You'll be really helping support this channel, and if you haven't started playing yet, then you absolutely should. So download now, and I'll see you there.